What's going on, guys? Hanzo here, and here today we are going to be reviewing Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 127, the Shibuya Incident. Hope I never said that word out loud, actually. So hopefully I said that right, but the Shibuya Incident, Part 44. So Kaizen actually made the cover of Jump this week, so we had a little Halloween cover. You had Megumi and Nobara and Gojo in little vampire costumes. It's a little kind of like, designs are cute. I like the art style. And then Yuji's little trick-or-treat basket is a jack-o'-lantern with 4 eyes like Sukana, and he's eating a little pumpkin cookie that also has 4 eyes, so I like that little touch. It's a nice little cover. And then we actually got like a double color kind of spread to start the chapter off. So we see Mahito creepily dancing around with some like ugly dolls of Nobara and Nanami and Junpei. So that's a little messed up, but Mahito's a pretty he's got a screw loose. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of fitting. But it looked pretty good. It's a great art style and stuff. We go to a double page spread and we see Todo and Yuji, and Todo is making this just ridiculous face. He looks like he's making his O face, if you know what I mean. So that was a little disturbing, but whatever. Yuji's in the background, kind of just like, what's up? And then there's a very interesting image in the background. We see what looks to be a silhouette of Todo based on the little, his little weird stringy like hair bun. In the background getting shot in the face by a woman. So, we don't really know much about Todo's backstory still. We know he was recruited in kind of at a younger age by the supreme grade sorcerer Yuki Tsukumo. So I'm not sure if maybe, we'll see probably Todo's backstory more at some point, since we've only seen that little glimpse and like where he picked up the like what kind of girls are you into trait. So I mean, this could explain the giant scar he has, but I mean that's such a thick scar. I don't know, getting shot in the face would end up causing that. So it's interesting. I don't know if it was just kind of a drawing in the background, but I'm sure I have a feeling it has some meaning. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But we jump into the chapter around page 5 because of all the spreads. Pages like 5 to 6, we see Yuji's guilty conscience. So Arata and Todo. So Arata's the guy that showed up with Todo. They learn that Nanami is dead, which I know Arata is a little shook by that because he's like, oh, he's a grade 1, and he's dead. Like this, ooh my god, I don't want to be here. And then, we see Yuji's lost his will to fight. Mahito's taunts during their fight previously, and Sukana's words after, he, let Yuji take control back and was like, hey, guess what? I just ruined your entire day and murdered all these people, and it's your fault because you let it happen. So that's totally just mentally messing with Yuji, and he's now seeing himself as a murderer, which obviously we know kind of his whole thing is he was okay with taking out curses and saving people so they could die naturally. And so, obviously taking another person's life is, that's very big for him. So he's really struggling with this right now. Todo takes action. Mahito tries to come in. Todo hits the clap, does the boogie woogie, and he switches Mahito and Arata, and he nails him with this kick that bounces him off the floor and like just a ball. And I was honestly hoping that he was going to kind of volley him back and forth, because when he claps again, he actually switches Arata with Mahito so that Mahito kind of like flies off, and Arata gets saved. So I was really hoping he was going to switch with Arata and like kick him back and then keep going like back and forth. But that's okay. We might see that at some point later. Mahito mentions that he knows how the ability works, but it's still kind of disorienting for him to deal with. But he's kind of he's a sicko, and he's got that kind of like shonen like I love to fight thing going. So he's like loving it though. He's like, oh, this is awesome. Like I get to fight a strong, guy. So he's like, amazed and enjoying it, even though he just got his like face smashed in. So then moving into like the rest of page 10 and to page 12, we get Todo's speech. So big bro Todo, he's trying to pump Yuji up. So he reminds Yuji that the both of them and Nanami and Nobara and everyone else, they're all Jujutsu sorcerers. So this is what they signed up for. It's not on Yuji that, you know, they got hurt and killed. You know, when they became sorcerers, you remember they, you know, the principal asked Yuji this too, like, are you okay with dying? Like, you know, you've got to accept that, like, because that is part of the job, and there's a very good chance that this happens. And yeah, so, you know, he tells them that allies who pass on are not truly defeated, which I love because it's kind of like a whole inherited will thing. And as a One Piece fan, that's big in that series, and so, you know, that's something that I like. I think, you know, he mentions that you can't look for logic and meaning in death because it defiles their memories. So I thought that was very interesting and powerful. That, you know, you kind of, you can't get too caught up in why it happened. You just have to accept it and move on, and, you know, and carry on their wishes. And he says, like, this is a punishment that sorcerers have to endure. You know, you're constantly facing death. You can't be afraid. It's part of the job. And he asks Yuji, what have you been entrusted with? And you don't need to answer me right now. So, you know, he lets Yuji kind of stew and think on this, like, what is it that, you know, Nobara and Anami entrusted me with? And then he has a very weird, quick inner monologue thought. And he says, now's not the time to tell brother about that. And that is, like, italicized to put some emphasis on it. So very mysterious. Don't know what that could be about. The only thing, I mean, I'm struggling with what this could mean, because I'm a newer, like, reader too. I actually I watched the first 2 episodes together of the anime, fell in love with the concept, started reading the manga, ended up reading the whole, like, catching up in like a week. And so, like, this is only the second, like, week that I'm, like, reading as a weekly reader. So I've really, like, condensed this series together within, like, the last, like, 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm very new to it, so I may be missing something. But the things that kind of came to my mind where we know that we had this weird thing with these, like implanted false memories that, like, Yuji gave to I can't remember the blood guy that was one of the 3 brothers. I'm totally blanking on his name, I'm sorry, but that guy. And then his first fight with Todo, he had that happen too. And I assumed back when he fought Todo that those memories of, like, Todo and him being best friends and kind of like brothers was just kind of a gag based on the fact that, like, Todo, like, really, like, took a liking to Yuji and was calling him his brother. But it seems like there's something more there, and I'm wondering if maybe he knows, like, what's going on with that. The other thing is too is that we know that Todo has a connection, like I mentioned at the beginning, to Yuki Tsukumo, who is the supreme grade sorcerer that we saw talking to Geto in the flashback. And she had mentioned that there are 2 ways to get rid of cursed spirits, but she never really elaborates on that, so I'm wondering if maybe that has something to do with it. So we'll see moving forward. That'll be probably something that lingers for a little as the action, you know, continues to go on. So we move on to the next section, pages 13 to 14, and you can kind of sum this up as, so you're telling me there's a chance? Because Arata Nida, who is the other sorcerer that shows up, he's a Kyoto High first year, and I believe, I'm not sure if it's, like, confirmed, but it seems like based on names and their appearance that he's the auxiliary manager Akira Nida's younger sister, if I had to guess. So he heals Yuji, and we get to hear about his curse power. And so we see that his curse technique, it basically freezes damage. So he can stop the bleeding and the wounds from getting worse and numb the pain. But he says, though, that the effects won't take place on damage incurred after the curse is placed. So any damage that Yuji incurs after he jumps back into the fight, like, it's not going to help. So he has a very funny interior thought at this moment too, being like, Yuji and Todo, like, they're brothers. He doesn't look like his brother, so I like that. That was very funny. He doesn't realize that Todo's just a weirdo, and it shouldn't be taken literally. So then here, why I said you're telling me there's a chance. So Nobara, we find out that, you know, he did aid right when he got onto the scene, and since it happened so quickly after her, you know, injury occurred, there is no longer a 0% chance that she's gonna live. It's a little higher, but the outlook's not grim. We shouldn't get our hopes up, but this is kind of, I feel like, the author telling us, like, yes, like, you know, there is a chance. I assume this because she lost her eye. As long as there's no brain damage, it was something that she could live realistically within, like, the realm of a shonen series. So pretty much he does say that she has no pulse and she's not breathing, but he froze her here, and it's not unrealistic for someone to flatline and be brought back. So if she goes and gets medical attention, basically, like, they start a procedure immediately after this happened, there's a good chance that she's going to get saved. So I think she's going to be fine. She's probably going to be rocking like an eye patch next time we see her, or some big bandage at least to start, and then maybe an eye patch after. But yeah, so I think, you know, she's an awesome character. I think as far as shonen females go, like supporting characters, I think she's actually one of my favorites because she's got that kind of like funny attitude that a lot of them have, but she's not as helpless as a lot of the other ones. She really like kind of stands up on her own, and she's got some grit to her. So I'm a big fan of Nobara as a character. So I'm glad that she's, you know, gonna be okay. So then we cut back like pages 14 to 17. The Todo versus Mahito fight continues. Some awesome action. Mahito turns his torso into this barbed wire, like a net cage, and Todo is using the boogie woogie to dodge. Mahito says that, you know, he's kind of keeping the fight away from Itadori, so then he's kind of like taking his attention off of him at that point because he calls him worthless, so he's not really seeing him as a threat. He tries a sneak attack with taking one of those like transfigured humans that he shrinks down, and you see the head pop up, and then all of a sudden it turns into a big needle that shoots out, but Todo dodges. He's totally just got everything, you know, under control there, really kind of just playing with Mahito, honestly. And then we see Mahito thinking about how he wants to use the Black Flash again, and he wants to experience that power again because it's the true essence of his soul. So very dramatic. Then the action takes a twist. Clap. And enter Yuji. Todo switches him in, and he's charging up his fists with curse energy. And, you know, he remembers Nanami told him, "You've got it from here," and he takes Todo's words, and he's like, well, what am I fighting for here? Like, I have to, like, Nanami entrusted me. I've got to stop using my sins as an excuse for wanting to run away because I'm scared. I got to be a man. I got to step up. I got to get in here, and I got to fight. So, bang, awesome, double spread, Black Flash, just bops Mahito, knocks him down, and it just looks freaking beautiful. It's amazing. So, you know, he is now kind of come to terms with Todo's words and what a Jujutsu sorcerer is. Mahito says, "Oh wow, Yuji, you're back from the dead," which is true. And, you know, he gets up next to Todo. Todo rips his shirt off, and they're like, "All right, let's go. Put up the fists. We've got the Brothers of Destruction." They rise. They're ready to roll. We got like a sweet tag team. So I'm thinking now, considering how well these two worked together last time we saw them fight, there's a very good chance that Mahito, like, because he's been around for a while and he's a very good villain, but it's kind of, this could be coming to its end, I'm thinking. So I have a feeling he either gets taken down next chapter, or it's to the point where he's run away a lot. So I could see him getting back into a corner and taking off. The other thing is we may switch away back to Geto and Mai, because we saw Mai defeat that curse that Geto put in her way. So we would assume that she's kind of got to be closing in. So we may cut there to a different part of the chapter. But overall, awesome chapter. It was nice to see Yuji kind of like, you know, come to terms with everything that he's done and step up and be a man. Todo's awesome. Fight scenes look great. So really looking forward to next week. And until then, I will see you guys later. Peace out.